Hi everyone, Tony Tonkin here from Wise, Witty and Weird. And because I'm going to play a bit of a clip from Donald Trump today, I guess we can assume that it'll be pretty weird. This has just been released where Trump has spoken about the chaos he created in the US last Wednesday. And I think it's worth having a look at because is this Trump being Trump or is this Trump being somebody else? Is this about him choosing that he should now try and placate all those Republicans who are now making a stand against him straight after he has been impeached for the second time? The first time in American history whereby a president has been impeached twice. I think it's worth having a look at to help us to understand the sincerity or the lack of sincerity that exists around this man, and whether he has made a calculated decision here that this man is in deep trouble and is trying to find a way to dig his way out of it. Now, the question will remain as to whether or not we believe that what he is doing now is going to placate his base to a point whereby they will withdraw from any further insurrections they may be planning over the next 6 or 7 days. So let's just see what he has to say, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
I want to speak to you tonight about the troubling events of the past week. As I have said, the incursion of the U.S. Capitol struck at the very heart of our republic. It angered and appalled millions of Americans across the political spectrum. I want to be very clear. I unequivocally condemn the violence that we saw last week. Violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country and no place in our movement.
I just have to stop it there and say he unequivocally is making a stand against violence in the US. But his statements last week prior to this and the statements of Don Jr., Giuliani and others has been a strong indicator that he was encouraging and inciting violence. So the question we must be asking ourselves is, why is he making these particular statements now? What is there that's happened to him that has caused him to backtrack over where he was last week? So we need to keep that in mind as we listen to his statements and start to work out whether or not there's an element of belief in any of these statements or whether they are just hyperbole.
America Great Again has always been about defending the rule of law, supporting the men and women of law enforcement, and upholding our nation's most sacred traditions and values. Mob violence goes against everything I believe in and everything our movement stands for.
That is a distinct untruth. There is no way that he can justify the fact that mob violence goes against what he believes in, given the way he behaved last week, given some of his incendiary statements that he's made over the last 5 years about taking people out of his gatherings, beating them up, statements he's made about how police should be arresting people by grabbing them by the head and shoving them into the car. This man is ostensibly violent, that he is psychopathic and that he is as weak as they come. And here is a very weak man with his tail between his legs trying to justify all that has happened and trying to find his escape route from what has happened.
No true supporter of mine could ever endorse political violence. No true supporter of mine could ever disrespect law enforcement or our great American flag. No true supporter of mine could ever threaten or harass their fellow Americans. If you do any of these things, you are not supporting our movement, you are attacking it, and you are attacking our country. We cannot tolerate it. Tragically, over the course of the past year, made so difficult because of COVID-19, we have seen political violence spiral out of control. We have seen too many riots, too many mobs, too many acts of intimidation and destruction. It must stop. Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican, there is never a justification for violence. No excuses, no exceptions. America is a nation of laws. Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice. Now I am asking everyone who has ever believed in our agenda to be thinking of ways to ease tensions, calm tempers, and help to promote peace in our country. There has been reporting that additional demonstrations are being planned in the coming days, both here in Washington and across the country. I have been briefed by the U.S. Secret Service on the potential threats. Every American deserves to have their voice heard in a respectful and peaceful way. That is your First Amendment right. But I cannot emphasize that there must be no violence, no law-breaking, and no vandalism of any kind. Everyone must follow our laws and obey the instructions of law enforcement. I have directed federal agencies to use all necessary resources to maintain order. In Washington, D.C., we are bringing in thousands of National Guard members to secure the city and ensure that a transition can occur safely and without incident. Like all of you, I was shocked and deeply saddened by the calamity at the Capitol last week. I want to thank the hundreds of millions of incredible American citizens who have responded to this moment with calm, moderation, and grace. We will get through this challenge just like we always do. I also want to say a few words about the unprecedented assault on free speech we have seen in recent days. These are tense and difficult times. The efforts to censor, cancel, and blacklist our fellow citizens are wrong, and they are dangerous. What is needed now is for us to listen to one another, not to silence one another. All of us can choose by our actions to rise above the rancor and find common ground and shared purpose. We must focus on advancing the interests of the whole nation, delivering the miracle vaccines, defeating the pandemic, rebuilding the economy, protecting our national security, and upholding the rule of law. Today, I am calling on all Americans to overcome the passions of the moment and join together as one American people. Let us choose to move forward united for the good of our families, our communities, and our country. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
So here we have Trump trying to placate other members in his caucus, in the House of Representatives, so that hopefully when it comes to a Senate trial, they won't prosecute him in the way that he clearly deserves to be prosecuted. And I think only a fool would look at this and say this is a genuine Trump. The issue is, why isn't it that this particular man has now chosen to actually resemble something that looks like the way a president should appear? Why now has he chosen to do this? Why hasn't he been doing this all the way through his presidency? He's done nothing but sow chaos and disruption. So but at this particular point in time, for whatever reason, this man now thinks that this is the time that he should be saying these sorts of things to a public which he has disrupted, which he has purposefully decided to cause chaos and anger and fear and particularly lies to be spread. So at no point has Trump in any of this said, well, look, I've lied. I've told you an untruth about the election, the fair election of Joe Biden. In fact, at no point in any of these speeches has he identified the legitimacy of Joe Biden. And I think that this is a great shame. I think that that would have demonstrated to everybody that this man has turned over a new leaf as late as it would be. But he hasn't. He's still the same Donald Trump. He is conning us. This is another con. And if we don't see it as a con, we are blind. So let's see it for what it is. Donald Trump being told by his solicitors and others about what he should do in order to mitigate the potential Senate trial and other court cases that will be pending once he leaves office. So this is a man trying to save himself. And we cannot allow ourselves to think that this is appropriate and that he will actually save himself from the coming tsunami that's going to sweep over him next week and when he leaves office. Thanks everybody for watching. And I just want to say, before you go, can I just remind everybody that if you sign on to Patreon and contribute to Wise, Witty and Weird, then you will be contributing greatly so that we can continue to make these videos. So thanks very much for being here. And I just want to say also that it's really important that you subscribe and ring the bell so that you can also get notifications in the future. Please do that. Please join Wise, Witty and Wide more often. We'll have more and more videos as time goes by. Thanks everybody. Take care. Look after yourselves.